So now we get to go into action. Both awareness and attitude are needed for action. Awareness of what you want is key. Okay, you got to know what you're moving towards. And there was this exercise that came out in between the two sessions that said you get to ask a question about actions. So if you're going to make a choice between two actions, you ask two questions. The first question, will this choice, you have to pick one, okay, so you'd say, will this choice move me closer or get me more of what I want? So that's the first question. It doesn't matter if it's yes or no. You still get to go to the second question. So I'll say it again. Will this choice move me closer to or get me more of what I want? And the second question, same choice. Keep it simple, same choice. Will this choice move me further away from what I don't want or get me less of that? If I get a yes, it'll move me closer, and a yes, it'll move me further away, how hard of a decision is that to make? Yes plus yes equals do it now. You know, that was easy. If it moves me closer to what I want, moves me further away from what I don't want, do it now. Now, if I get a no, it's not going to move me closer to what I want, but yes, it's going to move me further from what I don't want, I might think about that one a little bit more. You know, if I get a yes, no, or a no, yes, I'm going to think about it. I'm still going to have to make a decision, but I'll look at the other options. So that's when I would go and look at other options. If it's a decision and I go, will it move me closer to what I want? And the answer is no. Will it get me less of what I don't want? And the answer is no. There's not a decision to be made. Go to the beach. Take a break. If it's a no and it's a no and you're still thinking about it, then I've got a third question for you. Whose decision is it really? Whose ballpark is it? Who benefits from it? Because if it's not going to move you closer to what you want and it's not going to move you further away from what you don't want, why would it go on your action list? It has to be about other people at that point. There are some other people that I would take their stuff into consideration, and I might do it anyway. But I'm going to do it, I'm going to take the action only from a place of where I've chosen that I'm willing to do something for somebody else. This is where, I don't know if anybody's ever heard the phrase, it's about self-deception, altruism. Self-deception is the root of altruism. Altruism is when you do something nice for somebody else. And the reason that I think they came up with this idea that self-deception was at the root is because a lot of times we're doing things for other people and not looking at whether or not it gives us any benefit. So if you look at, let's think of an example. Somebody asks you to go pick up their family member at the airport. You don't have to know why. They just ask you if you can do it. You have to decide, is that going to move you closer to any of your goals? Probably not. Is it going to move you further away from what you don't want? Can't think of how that would do it unless, you know, there was something about this other person involved. That's where the other people come in. But you might do it anyway. And you might do it simply because you feel good about yourself when you do it. But if you haven't gone through this decision making, you might be doing it out of guilt because you've inherited from somebody the belief system that said if somebody asks me to do something for them, I'm a bad person if I don't. And that's why becoming aware of the voices in your head is so key. If you go through the process of how does this request fit into, will it get me more of what I want or less of what I don't want, You start helping to ramp up the awareness in your brain, but the true awareness is the one in your gut. I think everybody knows, but my background is as a stress management consultant and stress intervention training. And the truest definition of stress I have ever heard is that feeling when someone asks you to do something and your gut says no, and your mouth says, of course, I'd be glad to. That's my definition of stress, because it pulls you out of integrity with yourself. You cannot stay out of integrity with yourself if you are increasing your awareness of how your emotions are. You can't stay out of integrity with yourself if you have an attitude that you created. Everything that we worked on last week was about how you create your own attitude, how you totally take control of this. Because once you do this, then you are into that place in the ballpark rules of being able to accept it. When I go, I'll own this one. When I go, I am in the absolute best relationship with the best partner for me at this time. And that's how my current relationship actually got started. Is we were both strong-minded, and I was had come out of my second failed marriage. All my kids were grown, and he'd never been married. I had no interest in getting married. He had no interest in getting married. We had no interest in a, quote, committed relationship. We just knew we enjoyed being around each other. So what ended up happening is we created a relationship that was, as long as it's good, we'll stay together. Absolutely no expectation other than we'll be honest with each other. Not needing to worry about the future made it possible for me to stay more honest in the present. And by the way, if you're scared about honesty, don't practice your connections, because the more aware you become of your gut, the more honest opinions are going to start coming up into your awareness. Okay? The more you can take control of the stress reaction that shuts down our ability to perceive, the more you're going to become aware. The more you're going to be intuitive. The more the elephant in the room is going to be easy to see. And so you all are getting these keys that are absolutely life-changing in this way, because as you become more aware, you get to make different choices and you start taking up more room in the center of your life. And as you get a handle on your attitude where you're the one who's in control of it, your confidence goes up. It can't do otherwise. So these are the things that you practice. The actions that we started with, I actually, at the beginning of the course, the first thing I put up was the 5x5. And I gave that to everybody. And I didn't tell you that it's going to be the most difficult thing you've ever done is to try to make that a consistent practice. Because we're distracted. And because it absolutely works, and we are pre-programmed to be uncomfortable with new change, with new things. That's also evolutionary, goes back to the caveman. Okay? Caveman liked predictable. He didn't live in a predictable environment. We also like predictable, and you're not going to get it. You haven't had it. It's all been an illusion, and you're not going to get any more of it, but what you're going to be aware of is that you don't need it. You'll start becoming aware that you don't need the predictability. What you need is the confidence that you can handle whatever comes up. And that's what's going to drive you into taking massive action. So, awareness, attitude, massive action. And knowing what you want to create with that action.